What was supposed to be a happy birthday turned into chaos when my dad's toxic behavior sabotaged everything. So, a little backstory before I dive in. My dad, Robert, 46, has always had a bit of a toxic streak. He's the type who has to be the center of attention, no matter what. If someone else is in the spotlight, he'll find some way to bring the focus back to himself. Growing up, I thought it was just a deadbeat dad, but the older I got, the more I realized how damaging it really was. Anyway, this happened at my 21st birthday party. We decided to keep it relatively small, just close family and a couple of friends. My mom, Lisa, put in a ton of effort decorating our backyard with string lights and a big table full of fruit. My younger sister, Emily, 19, helped set up this amazing photo wall with balloons and fairy lights. It looked magical, and for once, I actually felt excited for a family gathering. The first hour was perfect. People were laughing, the grill was going, my best friend Jason showed up with a ridiculous gag gift that had everyone cracking up. For a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, my dad would let me have this one night without making it about him. But of course, I was wrong. It started small. He made a snide comment while I was opening presents. I unwrapped a nice leather watch my mom had gotten me, and Dad immediately said, "Wow, must be nice. When I turned 21, I didn't get spoiled like this. Guess times have changed." Everyone kind of awkward laughed, but I brushed it off. Then came the toast. I was about to raise my glass and thank everyone for coming when Dad interrupted me. Literally stood up, clinked his glass louder than mine, and launched into this long-winded speech about how he worked so hard to provide for the family and how he deserved recognition for raising such a decent kid. I swear, the spotlight shifted instantly. People clapped politely, but I felt this burning knot in my chest. Like, dude, it's not about you. It's my birthday. Things really escalated when Emily tried to play the slideshow she made. She had put together all these childhood photos of me with funny captions, set to some cheesy 2000s pop song. She plugged it into the TV, and just as everyone gathered around to watch, Dad muttered loud enough for everyone to hear, "Wow, that's what you guys spend your time on. No wonder nobody respects hard work anymore. Kids just want attention." Emily's face turned red, and I could see her fighting tears. Mom tried to shut him down, saying, "Robert, not tonight, please." But he just smirked and said, "What? I'm just being honest." At that point, I felt something snap inside me. I'd spent my whole life brushing off his comments, but watching him crush Emily like that on my birthday, that hit differently. I looked at him and said, "Dad, can you just stop? For once in your life, can you not make everything about you?" The backyard went silent. He froze, his face tightening like I had just slapped him, and I knew this was only the beginning of the storm. The silence after I called him out was thick, like the kind where even the crickets stop. Everyone's eyes darted between me and Dad, waiting to see what would happen. I could see the vein in his forehead starting to pop, and his jaw tightened so hard I thought his teeth might crack. He finally let out this low laugh. "Oh, so now you think you're man enough to talk to me like that? On your birthday, huh?" He dragged out the word of birthday like it was some kind of joke. Jason tried to diffuse the tension. He leaned forward and said, "Hey, Rob, come on, let's just chill. It's supposed to be a party." But Dad wasn't having it. "Oh, don't you start. You think you know this family? You've been here for what, 2 birthdays? You don't know half that I've done for these ungrateful kids." My mom, bless her, tried to cut in. "Robert, please." He held up his hand like he was silencing a courtroom. "No, Lisa, they need to hear this." And that's when it turned into sabotage. He started listing things private, personal stuff that had no business being said out loud, let alone in front of my friends. "You think your little slideshow is cute, Emily? How about showing the picture of when you failed out of chemistry and cried for a week, or maybe the time you begged me for gas money because you blew all your allowance on makeup?" Emily just sat there frozen, eyes glossy, lower lip trembling. Mom hissed, "Enough," but Dad steamrolled right over her. Then he turned his sights on me. "And you missed a big birthday, boy. Everyone here should know you barely made it through your first semester of college. You were this close to dropping it until I stepped in and made you toughen up, and this is the thanks I get." He gestured around the backyard like the whole party was some insult to him personally. My stomach dropped. I could feel the blood rushing to my face, half from embarrassment, half from rage. Jason whispered, "Bro, do you want me to say something?" And I just shook my head. This was between me and Dad now. "Are you proud of yourself?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You're humiliating your own family in front of everyone on my birthday." He scoffed. "Humiliating? No. Telling the truth? Yes. Maybe if you kids could handle the truth, you wouldn't be so soft." And then, because apparently he couldn't stand not being the center of attention, he grabbed the cake knife. I swear, my heart stopped for a second. Not because I thought he'd hurt someone, but because I knew exactly what he was about to do. The cake. The beautiful, custom chocolate cake Mom had ordered from my favorite bakery, with Happy 21st written in perfect cursive. Without hesitation, he dragged the knife right across the middle, smearing the icing and ruining the decoration before anyone had even had a slice. The collective gasp was unreal. Emily burst into tears. Mom shouted, Robert, what the hell is wrong with you? And me? I just stood there, fist clenched, chest heaving, realizing that he had officially crossed a line we could never come back from. The backyard erupted after he ruined the cake. People were talking over each other, my mom yelling, Emily crying, Jason trying to calm me down, but all I could see was my dad standing there with a smug, twisted grin. He looked proud of himself, like he'd just proved a point. I snapped. Are you serious right now? You just destroyed my cake because you couldn't stand not being the center of attention. He shrugged, still holding the knife. It's just a cake. Life's tough, kid. Better learn that now instead of later. Jason muttered, Dude, you're unbelievable, under his breath, but Dad heard it. He turned his glare on Jason and barked, Stay out of this, you little punk. This is family business. You don't belong here. That was it for me. I stepped between him and Jason. Don't talk to my friend like that. Don't you get it? Nobody's impressed with your tough guy act. You're just ruining everything. For the first time all night, he looked genuinely taken aback. His eyes narrowed, and he lowered his voice in that scary calm tone he used when he was about to explode. Watch how you speak to me, boy. Mom finally lost it. She stormed over, snatched the knife out of his hand, and slammed it onto the table. Enough. Robert, you've ruined enough already. Do you even hear yourself? This is your son's birthday, your son, and all you've done is tear him down. But instead of backing off, he doubled down. Tear him down? No, I'm building him up. You think the world cares about birthdays and balloons? No, it cares about strength, and right now, he's showing me he doesn't have it. Emily, through her tears, shouted, You're a monster. Why can't you just let someone else be happy for once? She grabbed her phone and stormed inside, slamming the door so hard the string light shook. The guests were frozen. Some of them looked like they wanted to leave, but nobody wanted to be the first. I could feel the heat in my chest rising, and before I knew it, the words came spilling out. You want strength? Fine. Here it is. I'm done letting you treat us like garbage. I'm done pretending your toxic crap is just honesty. You didn't build me up. Daddy, you've been trying to break me down my whole life. That hit him. The smirk faltered, and for a split second, I thought I saw something almost like shame flash across his face. But then it was gone, replaced by pure anger. You ungrateful little brat, he spat. You wouldn't last a day without me. Jason stood beside me now, hand on my shoulder, backing me up. Maybe he would, maybe he'd finally get to breathe without you suffocating him. The air was electric. Dad's fist clenched at his sides, his face red and shaking. Mom was between us, practically begging, Robert, stop this before you do something you regret. But the thing was he already had. And I knew the party was officially over. After that moment, the party completely unraveled. Mom was trying to hold everything together, but it was like trying to plug holes in a sinking ship. People were awkwardly gathering their things, whispering to each other. A couple of my friends slipped out the side gate, clearly not wanting to be in the middle of a family meltdown. Dad noticed them leaving and sneered. Yeah, run away. That's what weak people do. That was the final straw for Mom. Robert, do you hear yourself? You've humiliated your son, you've humiliated me, and you've embarrassed this entire family in front of his friends. This is not strength, this is cruelty. He fired back. Cruelty, please. You've coddled these kids their whole lives. Somebody has to show them reality. Guess it's always me. Emily stormed back outside at that exact moment, eyes puffy and red from crying. She had her phone in her hand, shaking with anger. You think this is reality? You think being a bully makes you strong? Guess what? Dad, I recorded all of it. The yard went silent. He blinked. What? She shoved her phone in his face. Every word, every time you humiliated us, tore us down. Ruined tonight. I'm done protecting you. If you won't change, then maybe people need to see what you're really like. His face turned ghost white. I don't think I'd ever seen him scared before, but in that moment he was. Delete it, he growled. Emily held her ground. No, you don't get to control everything anymore. Jason whispered to me, a holy. She's braver than both of us. And honestly, he was right. My little sister had just done what I'd been too scared to do for years, stand up to him without backing down. Dad stepped forward like he was going to snatch the phone, but Mom shoved herself between them. Don't you dare. If you touch her, Robert, I swear that's it. I'll be done. The word had done hung in the air heavier than anything else that night. Done? What's that supposed to mean? Dad's voice cracked, just slightly. It means I can't keep doing this, Mom said, tears welling in her eyes. You sabotage everything good in this family because you can't stand not being the center of attention, and I am tired. I am so tired. The tension was unbearable. My chest was tight, my throat dry. I finally spoke up, my voice louder than I meant. She's right. You've ruined every good moment we've ever had. Birthdays, holidays, vacations, you always find a way to tear us down. And for what? So you can feel big. Some of the guests started murmuring agreement. Jason's mom, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner, finally stood up and said, Robert, I've known you for years, but this is abuse. That word abuse hit the air like a thunderclap. Dad froze, his face twisting in denial, but nobody rushed to defend him. Not this time. For the first time in my life, it felt like we had the numbers. He wasn't the strongest voice in the room anymore. And he knew it. Dad's face turned red not from anger anymore, but from the realization that the room had turned against him. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, but the words didn't come out. Instead, he stomped over to the patio table and shoved a chair back with a loud crash. "I can't believe this," he muttered under his breath, pacing. "I do everything for this family, and this is how you repay me?" Mum's eyes were fierce. "Robert, stop. You've done enough. Nobody is thanking you. Nobody owes you anything. You're done." Emily, still holding her phone like a shield, piped up. "And if you think we're going to let you manipulate or humiliate us anymore, think again. Everyone here saw what you did tonight." A few guests nodded, their expressions tight with discomfort and silent judgment. Jason leaned toward me and whispered, "Man, this is like a reality show gone wrong." I couldn't help but nod. It was surreal. My dad, the guy who always had everyone walking on eggshells, looked like a child caught red-handed. Dad's voice rose suddenly. "I've worked my whole life for this family, and now you all turn against me on my son's birthday. This is disgusting." Mum's patience snapped. "Robert, you've always been a master at turning things around to make yourself the victim, but not tonight. Tonight, it's about us, and you've burned your bridges." He glared at her, then at me, and then at Emily. "You think you can just gang up on me? You think you can humiliate me in front of everyone?" Emily's hand shook slightly, but she held firm. "I'm not trying to humiliate you. I'm just done letting you ruin everything for everyone else." That seemed to hit him in a weird way. He backed up slightly, his chest heaving, and muttered something under his breath I couldn't catch. Then he turned toward the driveway, probably planning to storm off. But before he could leave, Jason stepped in front of him. "You're not walking out of here like this, not until you own up to what you did." Dad froze. For the first time all night, there was hesitation in his movements. It was like the wall of fear and control he had built over the family had finally cracked. He looked around the yard, taking in all the faces, Mom's tear-streaked but determined face, Emily holding her phone like a weapon, me standing with my arms crossed. And he realized nobody was afraid anymore. Finally, he slumped into a chair, the fight draining out of him. "Fine," he muttered. "Fine, maybe I went too far." Mom's shoulders relaxed slightly, though she didn't smile. "Maybe it's not enough. You need to change. We all need to heal from this, and you need to take responsibility." The tension was still thick, but there was a strange calm settling over the backyard. It wasn't over completely. Dad still had his pride, and who knows if he'd really changed, but for the first time in years, it felt like we had some control over him. Emily's phone buzzed. She had texted my friends a quick update, making it clear he'd gone too far. They sent back supportive messages, laughing nervously at the chaos but also backing us up. It was like the universe was giving us permission to finally stand up. I leaned over to Jason and whispered, "Well, at least the party's memorable in a horrible way." He chuckled softly. "Definitely memorable, and hey, you survived your own birthday disaster. That counts for something." I smiled faintly, knowing he was right. This night would haunt me, yes, but it also marked a turning point. The next morning, the backyard looked like a war zone. Balloons were deflated, the cake was still half smeared across the table, and dishes were scattered everywhere. Mom was already outside, picking up what she could before the neighbours saw the chaos. I helped her silently, still feeling the adrenaline from the night before. Emily, who had stayed up late replaying her phone footage, finally spoke. "You know, maybe it's good that we recorded everything. People can't deny what happened now." She held the phone in front of me, scrolling through the clips. "Even if Dad tries to twist it later, we've got proof." I nodded. "Yep, but I hate that it had to come to this. I wanted my birthday to be normal for once." Mom sighed. "Normal isn't always an option with him, but at least now, we've drawn a line. That counts for something." The first phone calls started coming in around mid-morning. My friends were checking in to see if we were okay. Jason's text read, "Dude, you guys handled that like champs. Your dad's cray-cray, but we got your backs." Then came the real challenge, talking to Dad. He sat at the kitchen table, arms crossed, silent, like a volcano on pause. Mom approached first. "Robert, we need to talk about last night," calmly. He didn't respond immediately, just stared out the window. Finally, he muttered, I didn't mean to ruin everything." Mom gave him a look that could cut steel. "You did. Robert, you've been toxic for years. Last night was just a highlight reel. We can't keep pretending it's okay." I joined the conversation, standing firm. "Dad, it's not just about the party. It's everything. We've all tiptoed around you, worried about your reaction. We can't do that anymore. You need to take responsibility if you want a place in our lives." He stayed silent for a long time. Emily sat down beside me, her phone still in hand. "And we're not going to let you control us anymore. Not me, not Mom, not him." She nodded at me. Finally, Dad exhaled slowly. I don't know how to fix this. I guess I've been scared. Scared that I wasn't enough, that nobody would notice all I did." Mom shook her head softly. "That's not your job to prove anymore. You need help, real help. Therapy, anger management, whatever it takes. We can't keep getting hurt every time you feel small." He nodded reluctantly. Okay, I'll try. I can't promise I'll be perfect, but I'll try." It wasn't a miraculous transformation, but it was a start. For the first time, I felt like maybe we could rebuild the family without constant fear of sabotage. Mom smiled faintly, Emily gave a small, tired grin, and I felt a strange mix of relief and lingering hurt. We spent the rest of the day cleaning, quietly talking, and slowly untangling the emotional wreckage. There was laughter, too, not a lot, but a little. Tiny cracks of normalcy peeking through. It was tentative, fragile, but it felt like hope. For the first time in years, I realized that standing up to Dad didn't have to destroy the family. It might even save it. By the next weekend, things felt quieter but tense in a different way. Dad had agreed to meet with a therapist, and Mom insisted that we have weekly family check-ins. It was awkward at first. He was stiff, defensive, and obviously uncomfortable admitting his faults. But the most important part, he was trying. Emily and I spent an afternoon clearing out the backyard remnants of the party. The smeared cake was gone, the deflated balloons tossed. We laughed about how ridiculous the night had been, and for the first time in ages, it felt like we were a team against the chaos, not trapped under it. Mom joined us later with iced tea. I know it's not perfect, she said, but at least we survived, and maybe, just maybe, we can start enjoying family time again without fearing an explosion. I looked at Dad as he awkwardly helped carry a table to the garage. His movements were careful, almost tentative. I could see he was trying not to overstep. He caught my eye for a moment. I didn't mean to hurt you, he muttered. It wasn't the first apology he'd ever said, but something about the quiet, almost fragile way he said it felt different. Emily nudged me, whispering, maybe he really does get it now. I wasn't entirely convinced, but I allowed myself to hope. Later that evening, we all sat around the kitchen table. Dad pulled out an old photo album, one he had hidden for years. He turned to a page with pictures of me as a kid, grinning with frosting all over my face. Birthday hats crooked on our heads. I forgot, or maybe I didn't realize how important these moments were, he admitted softly. Mom placed a hand on his shoulder. It's not too late, Robert. You can make it right. Just don't sabotage it again. Dad nodded, a rare humility in his expression. I'll try. No more ruining birthdays. No more tearing down. I want to be better. That night, Emily and I stayed up talking. Do you think he really changed? She asked. I don't know, I said honestly. But at least he's acknowledging it now. That's more than he's ever done before. The next birthday, mine, a year later, was completely different. Dad helped hang decorations instead of critiquing them. He touched it quietly instead of dominating the room. And when the cake came out, he smiled genuinely, letting me cut it first. He still had his pride, still had his stubborn streak, but for the first time, it didn't feel dangerous. It felt like a small step toward healing. We weren't perfect. Scars from that night and years of toxic behavior didn't disappear overnight. But we learned something important. Confrontation doesn't have to destroy a family. Sometimes it can save it. I realized that standing up to someone who has hurt you doesn't make you cruel or ungrateful, it makes you human. And for the first time, I felt like we could start building something real, free from fear, free from sabotage. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be perfect. But maybe, just maybe, it could be happy.